Stossel! You lie all the time!
Over the past 7 years, my show has made lots of people mad.
Shame on you! Shame on you! Cupcakes for sale.
Some got mad about my affirmative action bake sale.
You got to be on your goddamn mind.
Businesses didn't like it when I attacked their handout.
Hi, I'm Fat Cat, insurance company boss. Uncle Sam? Hi, I'm Uncle Sam. Here, have some tax money. See, isn't Obamacare great? Thanks, taxpayers. I need this scooter, too.
Tonight, we'll look back at the bizarre ways I've tried to make economic freedom interesting.
How dare you take our money?
Now that's how shoes supposed to look.
Tonight, we'll look back at my coverage of Donald Trump, the good
Donald Trump made it possible for me to ice skate here.
and the bad.
Ruthless, ambitious, ignorant.
Trump says he won't touch Social Security, so old people like me will continue to steal from babies.
I need this because I'm a baby boomer. And I need this too.
So many babies to rob, politicians to mock, businesses to criticize. But I'm out of time. This show tonight will be my last Stossel show.
And now, John Stossel.
Yes, this is my last show. Over 7 years, we've done more than 300. I tried to explain that liberty, free minds and free markets make life better. We've tried to show the downsides of big, intrusive government that produces giant laws like this one. This is Obamacare. But no more. Not on this show anyway. I'll remain at Fox, going on other shows, and I have a big project of my own. At the end of this show, I'll explain what that is. But most of this last show will be about the best and worst things we've done over the past 7 years. I'm glad I came here to Fox and got a chance to do these shows. I've been an ABC News reporter for 28 years before that.
And now, John Stossel.
Hello and welcome to 2020. On 2020, I did lots of stories, but there were limits. When Obamacare was first discussed, I wanted to update a show I'd done that exposed the problems with government-run health care and with people like Michael Moore, whose movie claimed Canadians live longer than Americans because of government care. In America, we kill each other more often. We shoot each other. We have more car accidents. Forgive me, more of us look like you. That's the reason they're living longer. Michael Moore generously admitted that being overweight does shorten Americans' lives. But ABC said, you can't update your healthcare story. You're just doing predictable libertarian dogma. They said the same thing when I wanted to update my school choice show, a show that inspired the teachers union to assemble outside my office and yell at me.
We are here to demand an apology from 2020's John Stossel.
No, I won't apologize. Their union hurts kids. A few years later, there was a real school choice movement. But again, my ABC News bosses had no interest in what they called libertarian dogma. So I came here to Fox, where I've been free to report on whatever I think is important. That's included legalizing drugs, legalizing gay marriage, prostitution, shrinking the military, jailing fewer people, letting in more immigrants, criticizing Donald Trump. Some people think, oh, Fox doesn't allow that kind of thing. But they do. My main goal with this show is to explain the benefits of free markets. But free markets are hard to explain. Adam Smith's invisible hand brought us prosperity, but how do we demonstrate that the hand is invisible? Friedrich Hayek's term, spontaneous order, is clearer, but still abstract. How do I explain these mysterious things that have made America prosperous on TV? Well, I rented a skating rink.
Suppose you'd never seen a skating rink and I told you I want to lay down some ice and I'm going to charge people money to strap sharp blades to their feet. And they're going to zip around on the ice. Young and old, skilled and unskilled. And my only rule is go counterclockwise.
If you were the government safety regulator and you'd never seen a rink, you'd say, no, that's too dangerous. If it's to be approved, your rink must have stoplights, skating police, barriers between young and old, skilled and unskilled. You regulators might also demand a skating director, an expert who tells skaters where to go so they don't run into each other. I actually tried that.
You, turn left, turn right.
Go faster. You go slower.
It didn't improve anyone's skating. I made things worse. I wasn't helping?
No.
Government planners always think, I can design a better system. Obamacare is a good example. This was supposed to help poor people and lower costs, but it didn't. In fact, its subsidies enriched some insurance companies. To hide that, the politicians didn't call their subsidies subsidies, they called them risk corridors. How do I explain that on TV? I made a fool of myself by wearing costumes.
Hi, I'm Fat Cat, insurance company boss. Obamacare promised me lots of new customers. Uncle Sam? Hi, I'm Uncle Sam. Have you heard about our risk corridors? They're Obamacare's sneaky way of bailing out insurance companies without you knowing. Whenever there's risk, Uncle Sam will race down a corridor with lots of your money and give it to companies that the politicians want to please. Here, have some tax money. See, isn't Obamacare great? Thanks, taxpayers.
We've regularly tried to challenge people's assumptions about good government, because even popular programs are problematic. I once thought affirmative action was absolutely the right thing to do, but it is basically a racist program. So I demonstrated that by holding a racist bake sale.
Cupcakes for sale. My price list said Asians had to pay $1.50, whites $1, Latinos and blacks just 50 cents.
That's not right.
You got to be out of your goddamn mind, boy.
He just
Close down.
But then some people defended me.
You're trying to make a point, right?
Right.
So sometimes you got to do things like that to make a point. It's not racist.
And people started to think about what affirmative action means.
No race of people is worth more than another, or less.
Well, do you believe in affirmative action in colleges?
I used to.
No matter what race you come from, everybody should get equal the same.
When people really think about touchy issues, opinions sometimes change. For example, do you give your money to needy people begging on the street?
I put on a fake beard and tried begging in New York City.
You help me, ma'am?
People gave me money. They gave me money when my cardboard sign said homeless and cold, and they even gave when I changed it to need a beer.
I just begged for an hour, but I did well. If I did this for an 8-hour day, I would have made $90. 23,000 for a year, tax-free.
Of course, that's small-time begging compared to the organized begging that goes on in Washington, D.C. This lawyer helped people get money from the government by claiming they were farmers. This real farmer said the lawyers encouraged cheating.
And they said if you had a potted plant, you can be you're a farmer. And if you have a yard and you fertilize it, you're a farmer. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one, not farmers.
But they got the money anyway. And the lawyer, he got the most money, but won't admit it. You say you're losing money on this, you're sort of
No,
suffering.
I didn't say that. No,
Yeah,
I didn't
you said
say
you
that.
lost money in this case.
No,
I'm just looking at this picture of you and your waterfront
I didn't say that.
house.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
You said that you didn't make money on this case, and I say you're a rich guy feeding off the taxpayers.
I think this is the end of your interview.
He's a freeloader. Washington is filled with them. After the housing bubble burst, lobbyists wanted government to spend more subsidizing mortgages.
How are you going to get school teachers, firefighters, police officers to come work in those communities if they're going to be never able to buy a home?
What's the best response to that? Argument or shtick?
In other words, easy money here, you know, just here, it's the taxpayer, go keep it. Subsidies like that are one reason the feds have racked up almost $20 trillion in debt, unsustainable debt that keeps growing. I say this is the biggest threat to America's future. But debt bores people. How do I get your attention? Build a giant graph and take it outdoors?
This is federal spending per person since America began. It started low, less than 5% of the economy. Here's World War I. Here's World War II. Used to go down after wars, but now, even in peacetime, it only goes up. Pretty soon, we're up here. How are we going to pay for that?
Also, how do I explain that our most loved programs, like Social Security, are really just a way that old people steal from children.
I need to take this because the young should take care of the old.
I just borrowed some children and stole from them.
I need this because I'm a baby boomer. And I need this too. I need this scooter too.
How do we stop this theft? Cut the budget. But that's boring too. How do I get you to think about that? I know. I'll get a chainsaw. Horrible cut. Since we're $20 trillion in debt, we should take a chainsaw to the budget. The deficit will eat our future. I've tried to explain the burden of regulation by showing the piles of rules every person must try to obey, but what probably makes it clearer is actually trying to open a business. Even the simplest businesses are illegal under current law.
What does it take to open a lemonade stand legally in America?
I once tried to open one outside Bill O'Reilly's TV studio.
Lemonade for sale.
I failed. I tried to follow my government's rules, but they were endless. The government said I had to take a 15-hour food protection class. To sell lemonade? After this, there's an exam. Then I have to wait weeks to find out if I passed. And if I did, I'd have to buy a government-approved fire extinguisher.
I got my fire extinguisher.
To sell lemonade legally would have taken me months of paperwork. So I gave up. Fox's lawyers said I could briefly sell some lemonade only if I gave everyone refunds and got the lemonade back.
Wait. Actually, I can't let you drink this because
why?
There are so many rules here. I'm not allowed to sell this to you. I have to give you your money back.
What are the rules?
I shouldn't have sold it to you. I have to get it back.
Of course, my customers thought this was crazy.
It's a silly law.
The founders would have said something like that. Time for another costume. We wrote a constitution that said there will be limits to government. The things I do for TV. Next, environmental hysteria.
Ban dihydrogen monoxide. It's killing people.
I went to Times Square to see if I could fool people into signing a petition to ban water.
I'm such a good citizen riding my bike to work. I'm gonna save the earth.
I do feel righteous riding to work, but the idea that that kind of thing will help save the planet is just bunk. Even if you're worried about global warming, everyone in America riding bikes to work won't make any difference. The earth won't notice. America's a small part of the world. China builds a coal plant every week. Because I say stuff like that, many people are glad that this show will be gone. When this website reported on my show's departure, some internet trolls wrote they're happy to be rid of that noted liar and falsifier of news who produces hit pieces. Hopefully the cancer came back to finish him off. The cancer? Actually, I'm not ending Stossel because I have cancer. I don't have cancer. I had a small tumor removed, and best we can tell, it's gone. I didn't even have to have chemo or radiation. I'm ending this show to have more time for my next big project, which I'll describe at the end of this show. But the environmental zealots just won't let go. One wrote, if Stossel got his way, scores more people would die every day from lung cancer. Seeing him get a taste of his own medicine is a beautiful thing. He's probably mad because I've argued that things like pesticides are good. They save lives. On this show, we mock organic food, say it's no healthier, though it costs much more. My defending chemicals and commercial farming makes some environmentalists nuts. Some believe all chemicals are bad.
I went to Times Square to see if I could fool people into signing a petition to ban water.
It's an acid rain.
Would they want to ban water if I called it, say, dihydrogen monoxide? That is another way of saying H2O.
Would you sign this petition for me? We're trying to ban dihydrogen monoxide.
That's crazy. I never knew that it can cause like tumors and severe burns.
Actually, the printout just said it had been found in tumors.
Terrible. And it's good that you all are out here.
Take a read, take a look.
These football players signed too.
Well, to initially ban it sounds good to me.
Almost everyone we ask signed.
Odorless, tasteless.
We support a ban on that.
They haven't banned water yet, global warming alarmists want to restrict all sorts of things. They say the science is settled, but few will debate that. For 7 years, I've tried to get former Vice President Al Gore to defend the lies in his Nobel Prize-winning movie. His people send lengthy rejection letters.
It's very difficult to decline invitations such as yours, but it's an unfortunate inevitability of the growing influence of the climate crisis message and the demand on Mr. Gore's time. We do apologize. Come on, Mr. Gore, the idea that you don't have time is pretty silly. You have time to go on programs like Saturday Night Live. It's not a time issue. Truth is, you won't debate anyone. But if you do ever want to debate, we'd love to offer you the airtime. We will give it to you. I'll give you a special phone number that goes to this phone. For you, Mr. Gore, the green phone. I await your call.
He never called. People like Gore often say 98% of scientists agree. But that's just not true. 98% agree the Earth is warming. But they disagree about how much of it is due to man and whether there's anything we can do about it. Our government spends a lot to try to do something about it, to pretend to do something about it. They give subsidies to people who buy so-called green cars. When I started this show, politicians had twisted the tax code to the point where I could actually get a free golf cart.
You could get one too, for free. Really? Free? Why is it free? Because it's an electric vehicle, so it runs on clean energy. Doesn't really, but we'll get to that. Now, you could have gotten one of these too if you knew about this scam. I mean, subsidy for alternative energy vehicles. I got mine from a dealership in Arizona. Here's the ad. You can see they're selling it for $6,490.
That happens to be exactly what the tax credit was. So subtract the credit, the cost becomes zero. Eventually, the embarrassed politicians got rid of that handout. But then they came up with another. Cash for clunkers. Remember that? To clean the environment, Congress decided to pay people to get rid of older, polluting cars. They also said this would stimulate the economy.
Automakers are struggling. So I guess I should destroy some cars, right? That'll stimulate the auto business.
But of course, you can't stimulate the economy by destroying things. It's absurd.
Stimulate, stimulate, stimulate.
Fortunately, government no longer pays us to destroy things, but rulemakers always assume that their regulations do what they're supposed to do. But often they have unintended consequences. The Endangered Species Act seems like a good idea. I want those animals protected, but the complex rules mean landowners who report an endangered species may not be able to use their land because the government will put restrictions on it. So the law has led to a new response called
shoot, shovel, and shut up.
In other words, landowners who see an endangered species on their land sometimes shoot the thing and then bury it and then shut up about it.
Next, fish pedicures. Really, this exists. Will Donald Trump reverse the onslaught of new rules that ban things like this?
We're going to get rid of the regulations that are just destroying us all up. You can't breathe. You cannot breathe.
Much of this presidential election was a debate over government control of the economy. Hillary Clinton wanted more of that.
I will do everything I can as president to set the rules, to set the regulations.
Donald Trump complained, we have too many rules.
We're going to get rid of the regulations that are just destroying us all up. You can't breathe. You cannot breathe.
He's right. We can't breathe. We're drowning in rules, and that's a reason the economy hasn't grown more. But you would never know that if you go to a college in America. Students are taught we need more regulation because under unrestrained capitalism, average Americans make less money but work longer hours. Now, this is just a lie, but it's what the chair of the sociology department at Brooklyn College teaches.
Wages have stagnated.
On my show, she said the poor have gotten poorer and Americans are working longer. They have less leisure time.
We have more leisure time than ever. We're working less. I can't believe you teach your students this. I can't believe I'm taxed to pay you at City College to teach your students. This is just wrong.
It's not wrong. We have plenty of evidence. The Economic Policy Institute has dozens of papers on how Americans are more productive and working more than ever before. And wages have not kept up with that.
We have a chart of wages. The average household income has grown by 40% for the middle, 49% for the bottom fifth.
You don't have the purchasing power that you had 30 years ago.
We have more purchasing power and things are cheaper. This used to cost $1,000.
Absolutely, but you know what? More people are in debt.
Oh, it never ends. Why all this deceitful doom and gloom? It comes not just from Democrats.
Workers in the United States are making less than they were almost 20 years ago, and yet they are working harder.
No, it's just wrong. Maybe he doesn't really believe it. I'm told we shouldn't take him literally. But I want to believe Trump when he trashes regulation. Lots of this show's guests have told us they've been crushed by stupid rules. This woman ran a school that taught people how to apply theatrical makeup. Nevada officials told her that's illegal.
You're in violation of laws by teaching makeup, and that I had to open up cosmetology school, which would cost me thousands of dollars, probably up to $100,000 or more.
You'd have to have dryers,
yes,
shampoo bowl for stuff you don't use.
Exactly.
And the bureaucrats keep adding stupid rules. My state's busybodies say people shouldn't be allowed to do what I'm doing here, getting a pedicure from fish.
Fish pedicures are now popular in Asia. And today, some entrepreneurs have brought this to America. People like this?
They loved it.
Why? Why?
Because it's different than a traditional pedicure. It's the only pedicure where you sit in the water and laugh and have a good time at the same time.
Why not? Because it's not safe, said this New York politician.
This is an important health issue. People can get very, very sick.
We could find no evidence of anybody getting an infection or having any problem. Paula Abdul lost a fingernail from a regular manicure. Should we ban all manicures?
Like I said, this is a very heavily regulated industry. This is something that's, I think, needs to be banned.
And now it is banned. New York State says it violates animal welfare rules. The politicians always want more rules. My show and my career were possible only because I got interns to do some of the research. Often they were college students who helped me just for the experience. But that's illegal now, thanks partly to President Obama's Labor Department and lawsuits from people who claimed unpaid internships are not fair.
Employers could throw up their hands and say, we can't afford to pay anybody. So why should we be forced to pay the guy who cleans the floors? Why should we be forced to pay anybody in this room?
Because they wouldn't get people to clean the floors if they didn't pay.
That woman wrote a New York Times article that said interns are exploited. So I got a bunch of my former interns to join my show audience. They said they learned more as interns than they did in college, and they had to pay for college.
I didn't feel exploited. In fact, I felt that I was exploiting the opportunity.
I actually worked a second job in order to pay for my rent while I was interning for you, and I don't regret it for a second. It was a wonderful experience.
But how unfair. You had to work a second job. It shows that internships favor rich people who don't have to.
No, I chose to do it.
Choice. There's a concept. But we have fewer choices today because of government and because of stupid lawsuits. Once a year, this show's audience picked the winner of the Wacky Warning Label Contest, a contest that mocked silly warning labels that are slapped on products because of lawsuits. That's why there's a drowning warning on this hot tub.
Why would a company put a stupid label like that on a hot tub, Bob?
Because they know if they don't, the lawyer will say, you failed to warn us.
So we keep getting more stupid labels. Because there are always more lawsuits and more government. Always more. Will that change with Republicans now in charge? Probably not. Conservatives want more control over what you put in your body.
How is it any of your business what I choose to put in my body if I'm not affecting anyone else?
The drug war is a failure. Get rid of it.
Oh, you libertarians and pot.
For 7 years on this show, I've fought with conservatives about personal freedoms. Ann Coulter says I'm not only wrong, well, I can't say what she said.
This is why people think libertarians are. We're living in a country that is 70% socialist. The government takes 60% of your money. They're taking care of your health care, of your pensions. They are telling you who you can hire, what the regulations can be.
What's it have to do with the drug war?
And you want to suck up to your little liberal friends and say, oh, but we want to legalize pot.
Not just pot, all drugs. And I'm not sucking up to my liberal friends. I'm upset about the drug war because it's terrible. It locks up nonviolent people, creates a vicious black market, and makes drugs more dangerous.
Legal drugs are safer drugs.
On one show, one of my favorite guests, now she's editor of Reason magazine, took on Prohibition's current crusade, banning e-cigarettes.
Should I be allowed to open this little case and do this?
Of course, vaping nicotine should be legal.
This is a safer product than a regular cigarette. That's because somebody figured out how to make money selling us drugs that we want to consume. The people who make money on drugs right now are people who are willing to operate in black markets, and I'd rather see it all out in the light of day.
Fortunately, we've made some progress. Marijuana is now legal for recreational use in 7 states and Washington, D.C. Sex is also legal, fortunately, but some people get very upset if money's involved. Sex workers, prostitutes we call them, say, it's my body. Why is it the government's business if I charge money for sex?
You're selling your body. That just feels sleazy, demeaning to people.
Well, really, I'm renting it. Selling implies that they own it, and I still own myself. The beauty about this country is that I get to live my life based on my morals and my values, as long as I'm doing so
only
within
in
the
these few
confines
counties of Nevada.
in the law. And yes, I moved from the Midwest to be able to do it within the confines of the law.
Most states say what she does is a crime. But I would think in a free country, adults should get to own their own bodies, do whatever we want with them, as long as we don't directly hurt others. We should certainly be able to do what we want with our possessions. But again, politicians want restrictions. Donald Trump recently tweeted, nobody should be allowed to burn the American flag. If they do, perhaps a year in jail. What? I wouldn't burn a flag, but I have that right. It's free speech. Also private property. If I buy the flag or make one, it's mine to do with what I want. You can criticize me, shame me, ban me from your home, but don't tell me that I cannot do what I want with my own personal property or person. In some states, even my friendly poker game is illegal. Governments ban all sorts of gambling to protect us, they say, but then they run their own gambling scam. It's called the state lottery.
You can pick your jackpot too and win millions more.
I call this a scam because the odds this government monopoly gives are far worse than any casino game. And the players are disproportionately poor people. It's disgusting that government promotes this.
With 15 chances to win up to $1 million a year.
While at the same time, some states ban versions of this.
A flush?
That's my friendly poker game. I was surprised that some of the players supported a gambling ban.
We're not all mentally and psychologically strong enough or able to govern ourselves, which some people.
The liberal wants government to do something.
The addictive element of gambling forces, the government to step in because it is addictive.
Give me a break. Fortunately, other players were wiser.
We are intelligent enough to know our limits. Leave the government out of it. And let me decide for myself.
Just like they do.
Don't take my right away from me.
Don't. But politicians do all the time. Next, what can we expect from Donald Trump? I'll ask some of my favorite libertarians. Am I in trouble because I called Trump ruthless, ambitious, ignorant, selfish, grasping? What will the next years be like? Is Donald Trump's election a good thing? Terrible? I'm hopeful. Unlike most politicians, Trump's actually built things. not just buildings.
Donald Trump made it possible for me to ice skate here. After city government wasted millions in taxpayer dollars trying to fix this rink, Trump, he got it done.
That skating rink is in Central Park. Good for Trump. I don't expect Trump fans to thank me for praising him, since over the years I've also called Trump ruthless, ambitious, ignorant, selfish, grasping. And I said it to his face when he used political connections and eminent domain law to try to grab this woman's house. You're bullying these people out because they're...
For you to use the word bully, John, is very unfair. This is a government case. This is not Donald Trump.
Yes, it's Donald Trump. It's you and your cronies in government working together.
For you to call these people cronies is very unfair.
That's not what's happening here?
No. I think it's a pretty sick assumption, and I think it's pretty jaded for you to make it.
That's me, jaded. So let's ask some other libertarians for their take on the coming Trump years. Kennedy, host of the FBN show Kennedy, which I bet gets my time slot soon, and Matt Welch, editor-at-large of Reason magazine. So, Matt, you're happy it's Trump and not Hillary?
No, although Trump has potential upsides that Hillary doesn't. If you sort of think, there wasn't really a big libertarian gain to be had with the President Hillary, except for that she wasn't going to be Trump. There's possibility in some of his departments that he's going to be deregulatory president in areas like education, perhaps in energy and some other things.
I'm happy that someone has come in and thrown a Molotov cocktail into the political process. I don't agree with everything he says and does, but I do like that he has nominated people who have utter disdain for the departments they're going to run. And I can't think of greater champions for freedom than people who will actually tear down the behemoths and the institutions that have slowed down the growth of business and the economy.
But he freaks people out around here in New York. People are scared.
Well, yeah, he doesn't speak in the nice ways that we're supposed to have politics.
I like that.
Of course, it's very interesting. He blows apart what we can talk about. The bad part is when he blows it apart in a direction that potentially or directly limits freedom, and then also engages in the kind of crony capitalism that you criticized him for.
People say he's not presidential.
I like that. I mean, I think that we've had enough people who have been managed and facilitated and test grouped for long enough.
The mainstream media, of course, is sneering at Trump after he chose Oklahoma's Attorney General to head the EPA. The New York Times ran the headline, "Trump picks climate change dissenter." Climate change dissenter? The nominee, Scott Pruitt, doesn't dissent from climate change. Climate changes. Everyone knows that. Pruitt dissents when progressives claim America must hurt poor people by doing pointless things that won't affect climate. Pruitt's a good pick. He understands the EPA now stands for enough protection already. But the Times readers are so hysterical, they badger the Times until the editors change their smear headline from dissenter to climate change denialist. So what's going on in places like that?
They're policing language, which is a sign that they haven't learned any lesson from this election. It's not about policing language. People are hysterical that the Secretary of Labor pick is someone who's a critic of labor restrictions, as if there's only one possible ideology to have if you're in that position.
And some of these appointees are great. I sued Linda McMahon because her husband had me beaten up by one of his wrestlers once.
Detail.
But she's a good person, but she's been appointed head of the Small Business Administration. Why don't they just get rid of things like the Small Business Administration?
That's what I'm hoping for. I mean, Rick Perry was nominated to be the head of the Energy Department, which was the third department that he was supposed to want to close when he was running for president. A Small Business Administration should be like number 1 or 2 on the list of stuff that should get shut down.
Likewise, Betsy DeVos, head of the Education Department. She's a great pick.
Well, this is a great pick because, again, here's someone who believes in school choice. You know, here's someone who will at least encourage people to talk about charter schools so parents can realize that these government-run one-size-fits-all curriculum and schools might be harming their kids. So if we will have greater choice as a parent, I think that's a wonderful thing. And again, here's someone who will take an unorthodox approach to education, because I tell you what, the orthodox way, it's not benefiting us as a society, and it's certainly not helping parents, and especially students.
Some of these people are friends of this show. It shocks me to find that they're going to be running departments. Mike Pompeo, head of the CIA.
I'll wait and see on that one. I think that he was on the wrong side of the issue in the San Bernardino shooting with Apple, trying to
break into the phone.
Yeah, exactly, and trying to force a company to break their own encryption.
But he is a budget cutter.
Good.
Sessions is a budget cutter too, but that's not what I worry about him. He's going to be
Attorney General nominee.
Attorney General nominee. I'm worried that he's going to enforce the law in ways that I don't like and encourage the blocking of criminal justice reforms that have been happening around the country.
And block drug law reform.
Yes, he has a 1980s view of drug legalization in this country.
Andy Puzder is another good pick for labor.
I think he's a great pick. He's been a critic of minimum wage laws. He's much more pro-immigration than a lot of other Donald Trump picks have been.
Elaine Chao is a good pick for labor. Rex Tillerson at state.
I actually don't have a problem with Rex Tillerson at this point because I think, you know, the fact that he's an anti-interventionist, that is implicit in his personal professional history. He favors global stability, and he knows that fewer wars actually make for more prosperity. And you could also argue that he is free trade and a globalist, which seems to run contrary to some of Donald Trump's messages. And I think that sort of balance could be very healthy.
Finally, the future of the Libertarian Party. Gary Johnson got more votes than anybody before.
Is that really the threshold? That's enough? I mean, God bless Gary Johnson. He started out with so much promise, and I think he was absolutely right when he said most people in this country are libertarian. The problem is he wasn't able to seal the deal and sell his message on a much greater scale. If ever there were a year to sell the message of liberty, 2016 would have been it.
It was a historic success and a historic failure. That's what the Libertarian Party, it really was. I mean, they tripled the size of anything that they had before, cemented their place. They beat the Green Party in absolutely every single state. Never happened before like that. And yet, it should have been so much more than it was, and it's disappointing.
Thank you, Kennedy. And
before we go, John Stossel, Matt Welch and I have something for you. And that is the Golden Shovel Award. It is the first and only commemorative golden shovel for a man who has shoveled so much liberty in the right direction and so much crap away from the TV. John Stossel, you are certainly responsible
Thank you,
for
Kennedy.
my career here at Fox and so many of the great things that Matt and I have done alone and together.
Thank you, Kennedy. And Matt, next, I'll tell you about the new things I'm going to do instead of this show. Will Donald Trump be a good president? I hope so, but I won't hold my breath. What I do know is that there were better candidates than Trump and Clinton, but they didn't get into the big debates. As a result, Americans had to choose between the lesser of evils.
You're asking me to choose between a case of the measles and a bladder infection. I'm sorry.
He was one of the libertarian presidential candidates. This year, this show held the first nationally televised libertarian debate to show people there were other choices. While Trump and Clinton told us how they'd run our lives, the libertarian candidates said, you can run your own life.
I believe that people are inherently good and that they can be trusted with freedom.
Trusted with freedom. The libertarian candidates supported many forms of personal freedom.
Legalizing marijuana will lead to less overall substance abuse.
The damage they're doing is to themselves. And the damage that we do is assuming that we know what's right for you.
They propose responsible limits on spending.
If the American people have to balance their checkbook, so should Congress.
I hope that when people heard the libertarians, they would realize limited government is a better idea.
The majority of people in this country are libertarian. They just don't know it.
Lots of Americans do say they're socially liberal, but economically conservative. That's libertarian. Unfortunately, Gary Johnson didn't run a great campaign, and he won no electoral votes. But 4 million people voted libertarian, more than ever before. That's a good sign. And young people's interest in liberty is another good sign. All around the world, there are new gatherings of liberty-minded young people. We taped the Stossel Show at this one. Young people actually got excited when I tossed out copies of our Constitution.
You people should read this, and here you can have this.
That enthusiasm's encouraging. And it's one reason this is my last Stossel show. I'm old. We need a new generation to tell the story of liberty. People like this woman in Latin America, this occasional Fox News guest, and this woman warning us about the road to serfdom. I'm going to work with young people like them to train them to take over from me. I'll make videos with Reason TV and become a faculty member of the Charles Koch Institute's Media and Journalism Fellowship. Although this is my last show, I'm not leaving Fox. I'll continue to appear on other Fox shows. I will also, well, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do, but whatever I do, I'll post it on my Facebook page. If you're curious, you can find out about my new adventures here. But for now, goodbye. Thanks for 7 good years of The Stossel Show. Good night.